Hi, I'm Yegi. I'm an entrepreneur and success coach who wants it all. Family, luxury, career, and the freedom to do whatever I want, whenever I want. And I'll do whatever it takes to get there. I created the Yegi Project to document my journey and inspire others to do the same. My mission is to change the world by influencing and leading others to do what they love and live fulfilled lives. Hello. Welcome back to the Yegi Project. Thank you to our listeners for tuning in today. I have a very exciting guest who fully turned her life around from being a busy corporate engineer to a balanced, wellness-focused individual. Let's meet Diane Randall, who's going to tell us her story and what inspired her or pushed her to be able to have a wellness-focused balanced life. So please take it away. Tell us who you are and how did you get to today?
Okay. Hello, everyone. I am Diane Randall. Thank you for having me on your show. My journey started 2.5 decades ago when I was a young, newly divorced mother of 2 children.
I can't even imagine that. I can't even imagine how difficult that might have been.
Yeah, working and just trying to learn how to balance being a single mom of 2 children and also trying to embrace and work a demanding career.
So tell us, what were you doing back then as your work?
What I was doing back there, initially I was a systems engineer at, it's called Boeing now, in another city, St. Louis, Missouri. And I decided that I wanted to leave St. Louis and move, to add to everything else, to move to Chicago, where I felt there was more, would be more inspired from a career perspective. So I picked my kids up, found a job in Chicago, and moved my kids here where we had no support.
Wow,
I didn't have
that
any
takes
family.
a lot of courage to make a huge move like that and grab 2 of your kids alone to move to a whole new area. So what gave you that courage to do that?
Just wanting a life that I felt was more in alignment with who I was trying to be at the time. I'm trying to start a career. I wanted a happy life. I wanted to, meet different kinds of people. St. Louis is not a tiny town, but I didn't feel it had the dynamic that I needed at the time to be happy and move forward. So this was just part of my plan for happiness.
Good for you. And I think it's nice when it's triggered with such a big change. It's almost like starting over. That's how I could see it. So it's going to force you to just make so many changes when you make a move. So, okay, so tell us more. So after your move, how did you get into all of the wellness practices?
So moving here, like you said, it was really good, but a year later, I got laid off.
Oh no!
But at the same time, I found a career in technology consulting.
Okay.
And I worked it was a German software company, and I worked there for a while. Then I started my own business so I could control my own schedule. But while I was just focusing on the job, my health started declining. High blood pressure, high cholesterol, stress, large amounts of stress.
I could imagine that, having so much on your plate, having to do your own business, work a job, take care of kids by yourself. I can only imagine your stress level, and they say it's the number 1 killer. So I could imagine how your health was declining. So you're mainly focusing on, the career success part of life. Okay.
But I recognized, just due to my trips back and forth to the doctor, that a successful career that I enjoy was not going to sustain me. It just wasn't. So with my blood pressure, being high all the time, I needed to find a way to manage it. And the doctor kept telling me, you're going to have a heart attack down the road.
Oh my
you
gosh.
need to take care of yourself. And I didn't even know what that really meant at the time.
Yeah.
So I just started reading, attending workshops, and what I figured out was I had to define, what does self-care and wellness mean to me? What does that even mean? So again, through my research and education, I figured that I found yoga, I found meditation, I found walking, I found exercising, things that would help me be healthier.
So you found tools to feed your
Tools.
soul in a way
That's right.
to get through all the stress in our lives.
Right, because I had no idea about tools.
Yeah, it's sad. A lot of times we don't know. We just think this is our state. This is
Yes.
how we are. We got to deal with it. It's life. But no one gives us these tools until we're really at a desperate point and we're like, okay, we got to find some things that work for me. Or like you said, your hospital visits, your doctor visits were telling you like something's got to change, or I'm going to be in serious trouble. Now, in your bio, I also read that you went, besides practicing these tools, you went above and beyond and you got certified and you fully like learned the meditation, right? And you also
Yes.
did some spiritual, you did your master's in
So
spiritual
spiritual
work.
psychology, yes.
Wow. So tell us how that is. I actually didn't know there's a degree for spirituality, and
I
but
didn't
it's the
either.
psychology of it, and that's so interesting. So can you please share a little bit about
What
the
I
education?
can share, yes. What I did initially, I took a life coaching program because that really helped me in personal development, because I had no inner tools at the time.
And you
okay?
did that for yourself. You didn't
I
do
did it
to
for myself.
coach people. Okay.
No, I had, let me just say this. I had no intentions of being a whole living consultant, life coach, or any of that. This was all in service of really trying to figure out, how can I take care of myself so I can be here for my children? That was really it. And be able to work my career. But what was interesting, and what I'll say is, you don't have to do that. It's just something that I did in my journey, because I would go to workshops, I'd read books, and I always say one thing leads to another. So
Wow.
even the nutrition, I ended up going to nutrition school and becoming certified into that. And the spiritual psychology degree is so interesting because I'm at a spiritual event.
Okay.
And the speaker comes on stage and she says, my name is Iyanla Van Zant, and I have a master's in spiritual psychology. I sat straight up in my chair. That resonated so deeply, okay? So once I got home, I said, okay, I'm going to get on the internet and see what it is, because I just knew it was it was possibly an online school.
Yeah.
So I called, I got the information, and they said, oh, this program is 2 years, and you have to fly to Santa Monica, California, 1 weekend a month for 2 years.
Oh, wow.
And that was so big for me. That was so big for me to even process and contemplate. But as I thought about it, I even said, okay, let me just find something in Chicago, okay?
Let's find something easier.
Yeah, something easier. I mean, I really struggled with it. But here's what I found out. I kept going back to it was an experiential program, which means that it was really about me healing and learning principles so that I could help other people. But the programs I found in Chicago at the time, it wasn't experiential. Okay.
That was the main difference.
So again, I just, I talked to my friends and I just decided, you know what, I'm just going to take 1 weekend at a time.
Oh, that's the best advice.
Yes, yes. And I started the program, and I even ended up on a project in Germany for 5 months, and I would literally
Wow.
fly from Frankfurt to Santa Monica for like 5, 6 months.
Wow, it's crazy how life kind of opens
Yeah.
doors and paths, and that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. So I went for 2 years, and I have to say it was a wonderful experience. I put it up there with having my children and other pivotal moments in my life.
That's great. What a good tool to have for yourself, you know. You get to go through the program, work on yourself, and then have the tools to, even if you don't coach other people, just even for yourself, your family, your kids, it's amazing.
It's amazing. And that's what I teach. I teach inner tools and strategies to help people create the life they want. And just going through this program just really helped to educate and support not only me, but other people that I either teach or coach that come into my life. So it impacts and flows through everything that I do in my life. So it was really a great choice to do that at the time.
Wow. And so what are you doing today? Are you still doing the coaching work, but also have a different full-time career, or are you fully dedicated to your coaching? What does your day-to-day look like today?
Here's what I do. Well, the beautiful thing is my day-to-day is not action-packed like it was when I was raising my children. I call myself a whole living consultant. I teach my self-care classes and personal growth classes at a college. I do online webinars. I now have a plant-based podcast because part of the whole thing, I said I really wanted to attract more people and teach more people about what it is to be plant-based or vegan. So in January, I kicked off a podcast called Plant-Based Curious. And
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I also created a community where the Plant Curious can go, and it consists of whole living, plant-based nutrition, and behavior change and veganism, and how do we pull all that together. So that's
how
my
long
focus
have
now.
you been plant-based yourself? Or
20 years.
20 years. Wow, impressive.
Thank
so how
you.
was that journey to switch your diet? Because you now fully shifted your life. You changed your career, your mindset, the tools you're working with to manage your stress, and also your diet. That's huge. You know, it's hard to make that change. Can you share a little bit more about that journey?
Well, again, the whole thing was a journey. I didn't plan on becoming plant-based and vegan, but as I was on my journey, I learned that, you know, I was gaining weight. You know, that whole health dynamic was not going to change with what I knew at the time with the standard American diet. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So
Americans,
I felt
we're the worst with our diet and the type of food we are marketed to eat.
and I was also getting sick with gut issues. So I had a friend who was plant-based, and she shared information. She shared a DVD with me called Eat. And that's when I really got the correlation between heart disease and high blood pressure and diabetes by watching. I knew unconsciously, I think I knew, but I hadn't really focused on it.
You needed that extra push.
I needed the extra push. So initially, I just started, you know, eating plant-based because I wanted to improve my health. You know, I'm a young mom with 2 children, and everything else I'm doing is not working. Okay.
Yeah, and you have people who are going to depend on you, so you have to stay healthy.
That's right. That's right. And I wasn't, you know, still wasn't feeling too well. So I started adapting more plants into my diet. And as I did that, oh my goodness, I felt better and better.
Wow.
Fast forward, my health got much better. Those symptoms and issues, conditions that I have went away with the plant-based diet. And then a few years after that, I became vegan. So I felt like my whole life had shifted in a good way. Not only did I feel lighter from a physical standpoint, but also mentally with the inner
Yeah.
tools and strategies.
Especially, I'm sure, just seeing that your health is so much better. You have more energy. You don't have to stress about going and seeing doctors for this and that. So I could only imagine how encouraging that was to keep up your diet, your lifestyle, not diet, as being
Right.
plant-based or vegan. So
Right.
that's great. I mean, that's inspiring to like see such a change with your health, because sometimes, people want to eat cleaner, but they don't have that extra push or that extra reason to. But when they hear like physically how it can change somebody's life, then you think twice. Like I eat everything. So but when I hear these stories, I do, at least, like, it triggers me. I'm like, oh, maybe I should consider introducing at least more healthy foods to my family, to my kids, right? It does have so many health benefits. So it's great to see that it literally changed your life, to make some of us who don't really consider it, like, thinking, maybe this can help with my blood pressure or my husband's cholesterol or whatnot, right?
Or diabetes. I mean, and I've been inspired by people as well.
That's awesome.
I mean, I've been inspired by people who have adapted a plant-based lifestyle, and I see, especially if they're older, I'm like, oh my God, I want that for myself. I don't want to be sick. I want to be able to navigate through my life and just live my life and do all the things that I want to do without, the illnesses and all those other
even
things
the aches
that
and
affect
pains,
us.
even small aches and pains
Yes.
gets in our way of having a good day, So as much as we can eliminate like anything that's going to physically and mentally not be a block for our happiness, let's do it. And that's what this podcast is also all about.
Yes.
But my question to you, so it all sounds great, right? But obviously all these changes that you made comes with a lot of challenges. It's not easy. So can you share a little bit realistically, like, all the challenges you went through with changing your diet, changing your habits of doing all these things, to be more mindful, to be better within your daily routines, even, because you can't just wake up and be like, okay, I'm gonna do all these exercises, or I'm gonna make sure I meditate, I'm gonna make sure I do yoga. So can you realistically kind of walk us through where somebody can get started and what challenges they can expect?
You are absolutely correct. And I would say the hardest challenges are the mental challenges. Even to this day, sometimes I will talk myself in and out of getting up to work out. I will literally think about how I worked out 2 days ago and I really don't need to do it today. But here's the thing. I've learned to push past those thoughts that tell me that I don't feel like doing things, I don't want to do things. So it's pushing past the thoughts that come up, which is it is the resistance to change, really.
So how do you get to that point, or what do you tell yourself? So the thought comes to my head, oh, I don't really feel like it today, or I'll do it tomorrow. So is there any tools you can share with our listeners to try to get past that?
What it is, it's a practice, okay? And first and foremost, you can't be too hard on yourself or judgmental, because that really puts us in a whole different headspace.
Yeah.
If you don't get up, that's fine. But every day's a new day to
try
start
again.
something new. So it's really learning that thoughts are just thoughts. That's just what they are. Okay, and just
Don't
because
take them too seriously.
don't take them too seriously. They are there. They're not going anywhere. But what I think is a big thing is learning to make your thoughts your friend. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is you'll have the thought of, you know what, I'm going to eat what I want at this party, okay? But then the thought will come up. If you have an internal why you want to change, why you want to be healthy, that really can counter those negative thoughts that will come up and tell you, you know what, it's Christmas, I can do what I want, or it's Saturday, I'm going to do my cheat day. You know what I mean? So it's what is your commitment to change, right? And why
we need
do
a
you want to
strong
change?
reason to why. And I think
really
that's
do.
something I
You
learned
really
recently too. No matter what we're doing, we need a really strong reason
do.
to why. So we're always inspired to keep up with it
That's right.
versus having to push ourselves or motivate us to get past it. If we have a strong reason why, it'll be easier for us to get to where we want to get.
To get to where we want to go. And not only that, it is, you know, what do I want my life to be? Who do I want to be with these changes? And it's really visualizing those things of who you want to be, what you want your life to look like if you have these changes, and if you could get rid of the barriers and the thoughts that stand in the way of that. My other question is, who would you be if you didn't have the thought that you can't do one thing or the other to make the change? Who would you be?
Oh, I like that. You know, that triggers a thought to me. The way I would approach that is I would literally sit down and define like my why, but who do I exactly want to be?
Yeah.
And then literally force myself, okay, well, if I really want to be this person, this is what it's going to take.
Exactly.
And am I willing to do it or am I not? It's that simple. Like, how bad do you want to be that person? And I think it comes down to us being really honest with ourselves of who we want to be. We can't just want to be this person because that's what we think we should be. That's what society wants us to be. We want to genuinely decide who and what and exactly who we want to be, right? What are your thoughts about that? What advice would you give on that?
Well, you know, and I've learned three things. It's who am I? Who am I? In the purest sense of being a human being on this planet. Who am I?
So how would you answer that question? So that's my question to you now. Who are you? Honestly, I struggle answering that question to me sometimes too. I'm like, well, I'm Yegi. I am a mom of two. You know, you just want to list all these things. But how do you define, like in your core for yourself, who are you? Who's Diane?
Diane is a mom, mother of two. I am a person I am a teacher. Everything I do, I don't care what I call myself, I am a teacher. And I give people, and I'm of service to people, and I give them inner tools and strategies to live the life that they want. Everything I do, no matter what it is, the teaching, the podcast, it is teaching.
Yeah.
It is inspiring and hopefully motivating people to live the life that they truly want on this planet.
I love that.
That's what I strive to do, and that's what I, in turn, want to be of service to help others.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that so much. My purpose is similar, so I really resonate with that. So good for you. Honestly, it's sometimes hard to figure that out, and once you get to that point, it's such a calm, peaceful place you can be knowing your purpose, right?
Yep. It's who am I, why am I here, and what am I supposed to be doing? It's just three questions.
Yes. Now, as far as something random, what's something that people don't know about you? Something fun, random, crazy that you want to share?
Well, people don't know that I love to hike.
Okay.
I love to hike and I love to laugh.
I love both those things. What makes you laugh the easiest or the hardest?
I love everything because my mom said ever since I was a baby, I can be talking to anybody and I'm always smiling or laughing I just find humor in life.
I love that. That's a good way to approach life.
I mean, I'm not laughing all the time, but that's like my signature when people describe me. You know,
wow.
She's very humorous. She's always smiling. That's what
I love
they say.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's another one, and you don't have to go too deep into the question, just the first thing that comes to mind. If you can have a magic wand and change something in the world, what would it be?
I would bring more peace to the world if I had a magic wand.
Okay.
More peace. How do we come together?
As a
really
whole,
what I would do.
as a whole world, yeah.
That's right.
That
That's
would be
right.
nice. That'd be a better place to live in.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I think about.
Yes, that's the
peace.
first thing that comes.
Yeah.
Great. All right. So if we talked about challenges a little bit, but we didn't really go into your personal biggest challenge. So can you share what your biggest challenge has been in life, and what did you do to overcome it?
Okay, my biggest challenge in life was having a sister that got murdered when we were 19 years old.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
And going through life stuck emotionally from that. Not knowing it at the time, but just recognizing it as I got older. But here's the thing, I really feel that was the basis for opening me up to do and
All
learn
the
everything that I've
changes.
learned to this day. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So you were
Yes.
living with that pain for a long time without even realizing that's what was kind of holding you.
Yes. Yes.
So what happened that you realized, okay, this is obviously that's an obvious trauma that you go through, but as humans sometimes we think, okay, we're over it, or time has passed, we try to get through it as much as we can. But did anything happen where you realize, oh wow, like this is something I need to
Well, here's the
actively
thing.
work on?
I grew up in a generation where, you didn't talk about therapy, you just moved on. Okay?
Yeah. A lot of people still live like that.
You just
Even though it's
moved.
more accepted,
Yeah.
but a lot of people are still stuck in that place.
But here's the thing, I'm in my 20s, I'm so unhappy. And I might have been depressed when I think back now, but I was so unhappy. So unhappy. I didn't like going places where there were loud noises or big crowds. So at the time, you don't understand how much your trauma manifests in your current life.
Yeah.
So over time, I didn't want to be afraid anymore. I didn't want to be scared. And I didn't want to keep feeling like I'm going to die at any second.
Yeah,
So
I can
that's
only
what
imagine
made
as a
me
young
sick
adult
happy.
going through
Yeah.
such a huge loss.
Yeah.
So how did you get through that? Did you have to work with a therapist?
I work with a therapist
Good,
a lot.
good.
I went to a therapist a lot. And like I said, in the journey, I believe my wellness journey has been all a part of that.
Wow.
Because
wow.
as I read books, I got to a point where I want to be happy. I have no idea what that looks like, but I want to be happy.
But you
So-
know that you're craving that, like deep
Yes,
down, that's
yes.
what you're seeking.
Yeah, so that craving and curiosity caused me to read books, to open myself up to different teachers and go to different lectures.
Good for you.
Listen to different people talk. And, when you hear people say things, sometimes it resonates deeply.
It does. Words are so powerful.
Words are powerful. So I find myself going, as I got older, crisscrossing across the country because I want to hear that speaker again. You know what I
Wow.
mean? I love what they said, last time. So I really want more of that. So it's being on that journey. Like I said, it was the research, the education, just diving into different areas that I felt would really help. And once getting all that research and exploration and education, I started just feeling lighter emotionally and mentally. I started feeling lighter. And for a long time, I just wanted more of that.
Yeah,
So-
once you get a little dose of that, like slight happiness or that lightness,
Yes.
you want more.
That's right. That is so true. Yes, yes.
So you said you did a lot of research, books, speakers. Is there any books that you would recommend for our listeners, or any speakers that really stood out to you back then?
Well, I can tell you Byron Katie.
Okay.
She was my favorite teacher because I was really young and I'm listening to her CD one day. Yeah. And she said, just because you have a negative thought doesn't mean you have to listen to it. And that blew my mind.
Wow.
Blew my mind to the point where I started going to her workshops.
So you're like, huh, I actually don't have to listen to
Don't.
myself. Like, who
What?
am
It's
I
like,
to tell
what?
myself?
I'm like, what?
That's such a great aha moment. I'm sure
Yeah.
some of our listeners today are thinking about that. And I would like to repeat that. Like, we don't have to listen to ourselves, especially our negative thoughts. We can
Because
choose
that
to
is huge.
ignore.
That's right. And people are like, because a lot of us, and even I at the time, my thoughts were meshed with who I was.
Yeah.
I didn't know I could separate from it.
Yeah,
So that
but
was
a lot of people still don't know we can separate those two.
That's
Our thoughts
right.
are not who we are.
That's right. That's right. But it's really coming to that. It's questioning, like Byron says. It's questioning those thoughts. You know, this crazy thought I just had. It's really is it a true thought, and writing it down and really looking at it to see if it's even true. And that's how you take things out of your head and bring them into reality. And you know, that's how you learn to understand that thoughts
So
are
was
just
that
what
an
they are.
exercise you did anytime you had a crazy thought? You wrote it down, you kind of thought about it, took it in, and realized, okay, I can let this go, or this is something I really need to worry about.
With practice.
With practice,
But
of
here's the
course,
thing.
everything with practice.
I would say today I will still have a crazy thought, but I can laugh at it and not bring it to reality. You know what I mean?
So when you get thoughts, like negative thoughts, you know, we get negative thoughts about like fears, we get negative self-talk. When those thoughts come to your mind, because it happens to all of us, no matter how much we worked on ourselves, it still happens, right? So
God.
how do you work on it today? What are the techniques that you use today?
The biggest thing is no matter what comes up, I will pause.
Take the time.
Especially if it's something that I felt that's negative, that somebody might have said something. I would say years ago, whatever came up came out. But I can still have a thought process, but you know what? I just let it pass. Even though sometimes I am a little perturbed or annoyed. And
you want to react right away.
And you know, it's like I'll have that feeling, but it'll dissipate because I'm not acting on that. Years ago, that I would have definitely acted on it or said whatever came up.
You can choose to let it go instead of letting
right.
it control you. I love that.
And I'm not saying it's practice. You know, I tell people count to 10 before you say anything. And if you're that upset, you know, you might need to leave the scene or say, you know what, we need to talk later and come back.
Yeah, I think that's a great tool. I think that's the greatest tool we can all use. That's simple enough to have a starting point. If something really upsets you, step away. Even if you're on the phone, hang up. You know, don't answer, don't react, hang up. Say, I'm going to call you back. If you're in person, literally say, I need some air. Step away, even if it's a couple minutes. A lot of times after taking a deep breath, we can process it better and then react better to the situation.
And here's a big thing I've learned too. People say what they want, you know, say, you made me do this, or, you know, it's basically you caused me to be angry. But it's really understanding that it's not really that other person. It's really me having control over how I respond. Okay.
Yeah.
And acknowledging how I respond.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree on that. We have to all work on ourselves and think deeper and think like, okay, this person said this or did this. It really upset me, but why? Like, why did it really upset me? Do I have some sort of red flags in me, like buttons or anything that's underlying reason of why it's really upsetting me that I need to work through for myself?
It's checking in. Okay, so-and-so called me an idiot. And it's not that person called me an idiot and I started spewing. The question is, is checking in with myself. Why is that bothering me so? You know, why is that bothering me? And the simple question, are you an idiot? You know, am I an idiot? And that's yes or no. You know what I mean? It's learning how to not just reacting to what someone said, because they may not even know you, but that's the practice of, okay, why is asking yourself, why is this bothering me so much?
Yes,
that is the question and investigation, not the person that called me the idiot. You know
and that's
what I mean?
what I've worked through too. I ask myself, okay, why is this bothering me? And like you said, we ask this question, like, okay, somebody called me an idiot. So I think through it. Okay, do I feel like I'm an idiot? Is this true or not? So a lot of times the answer is yes. What the person, if it's really upsetting you, whatever the person said, something about it, you feel like it's true, that it's really bothering you. At least in my case, that's what I've realized. So then that's the point where I need to make the hard decision. Am I going to be angry at myself, but take it out on that person that's making me realize that? Or am I going to accept this and try to do something about it, right? Okay, let's say I am an idiot, or I do feel not smart in a specific area. Can I, instead of being angry about it, do something like take a workshop, talk to a friend, work through it so that next time somebody says that, it doesn't bother me, right? So that's kind of how I've been able to work through my issues.
Yeah, it's checking in to see, wow, why is this really, you know, just penetrating so deeply? Yeah. And it's doing that inner investigation. It really is.
We all have so many issues that we need to work on.
And guess what? And we don't have to solve everything. No. What I say, we need to solve the things that are manifesting and causing us not to be able to be present in our lives.
Oh, I love that. I love that advice. None of us can be perfect in all areas. Right. So work on the stuff that's really matters.
That's right.
Okay, so let's switch gears a little bit. I love asking this question to all my guests because everybody's answer is a little bit different. And it really is a deep question because a lot of people don't take the time to think about this. But what does a fully fulfilled, happy life look like to you if you were to envision it today?
Well, it's my life today. And like you said, a fulfilling life is different for everyone. It is living life on my own terms, being happy, being of service, doing the things I like to do, like traveling, like going hiking, just navigating the world on my own terms. That is happiness to me. And living and being able to navigate with love and kindness.
I love that. I love that so much. Yeah. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you wish I asked you about your journey that would help our listeners?
Well, I always tell people that just remember that you matter. You matter. And if you believe that you matter, then that helps to boost your self-esteem, boost the way you navigate the world, and help you to really want to do better by taking care of yourself and your overall well-being.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. So you also say self-fulfillment and self-care is really self-honoring. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, I can, because for so long in society, if you think about yourself, the messaging and conditioning that many of us have gotten from society is that to think about yourself is selfish. Mm-hmm. If I want to do something, it's very selfish, especially moms, people who take care of other people. But I would say it's self-honoring, because if I'm taking care of myself, if I put myself at the top of the list, then I'm going to show up even better for my husband, my partner, my children, and anyone else, my clients.
Yeah, I fully believe that.
Yes, I'm going to show up 100% versus just being feeling like I got to do everything for everyone else, which is going to drain me.
Yeah, that you can't
Emotionally,
really
mentally,
help
and
others.
physically.
You can't.
That's
If
right.
you're not
That's
fully
right.
100% content with yourself and where you're at, you really cannot, like you said, show up for others. And I've experienced that in life. Anytime a lot of people rely on me, and I feel like I'm not a therapist, but I feel like
Yeah.
I'm my friends and family's like natural person to go to. And but anytime I'm feeling like, hey, like I don't have my full life under control right now, I'm not feeling at my best, I can't even, like when I can't even help them. So I realize that anytime that happens, I need to step away and be like, okay, I need to do my own self-work. I need to take care of myself, do my self-care, and then I can reach out to these people and give them something. If my tank is empty, there's nothing I can give.
Right. And recognize that it's not selfish, because that's the first thing people say sometimes. Oh, you're so selfish.
Yeah, we just have to
But
get
you're
that
not.
out of our head.
That's right. It's self-honoring if I take care of myself.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about your book. So that's super impressive. You have a book. It's called Jumpstart Your Life. Can you share how that process was? How was the writing? What inspired you? The publishing and all that good stuff.
Okay, so that book started out as an article that I wrote for a small magazine many years ago called Stepping Out of Your Comfort Zone.
Which could be very challenging.
Which could be very challenging. And it was just a story of my wanting to leave my hometown and move to a bigger city with no support, which I talked about in the beginning. And that article then became a presentation to a group of women that I did. So I turned it into a presentation to talk about how do you step out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, because it's
to
hard.
get what you want. Right. And then I started teaching at a college. I teach at a local college here. Like I said, I teach personal growth and self-care classes in an adult enrichment program. So I turned it into a class.
Wow.
And over the years, the class evolved. It evolved. The students evolved it. I evolved it. So after almost 10 years, it became Jumpstart Your Life. And I'm thinking, wow, it felt like I've taught this and taught this and taught this. It's complete.
You've
What
said
else
it
can
so
I
many
do?
times, it's a system now.
I felt it was a great guide because it was a 3-hour workshop and we had this process from start to finish. And I thought it would be a good guide for anyone who wants to look at their life, figure out the areas they want to change, reset their priorities, create some affirmations to inspire them, and create an action plan, a realistic action plan on how to move forward with whatever they want in their lives. So I turned it into a guide, and I had it published, and that's it. That's how it
I love
evolved.
it. And our
Yep.
listeners can find it online, right? In order to use it as a guide for themselves.
Any online bookstore sells
Love it.
the book. Yeah, include my
Can
website.
you talk a little bit about the affirmations? So how do you come up with the ones that are going to give meaning to your life specifically
Okay.
as an individual?
So as part of that process, I asked the participants to write an essay. Just, I was just say pick one area of your life. Then I want you to write about it. Visualize it. Who are you? What does that life look like? Who are the people in your life? Where are you? And it's based on what you say you want for yourself.
Yeah,
What does
honestly,
that
that's
look like?
hard. I've done this exercise quite a few times at different points of my life, and sometimes it's hard. We don't really know what we want, and then we think, why don't I have this amazing life, or why am I not so happy? Because half the time we don't even know what that looks like to us. So is that the purpose of your essay?
The purpose is to look at the areas of your life and pick 2 areas that you want to improve in.
Okay.
So we always know where we want to improve, whether we improve it or not, right? So it's taking, that one area And we also look at the priorities, because if your priorities aren't in alignment with what you say you want, then it's never going to happen. So if you're spending your days and you have no action towards what you want, it's never going to happen. So what my book does and what the class did was it helped you to learn how to navigate and add what you want to your life. So if it's attending graduate school, for example, I'm just making this up, then okay, how will you go if your time is full? So it's looking at how you spend your time and where can you make changes and reprioritizing. Because when we take the time to slow down and look at our lives, we can find pockets of time that we could probably change.
Yes, definitely.
And writing that essay about, it has to be 70% realistic about what you want. It doesn't, it's not something that's happening now, but it's just writing about it. Just being as authentic and realistic and truthful as you know how to be in that moment.
I love that.
And then the next thing to do is to pick 2 affirmations that represent what you want, what you wrote about. And I always say, take those affirmations and stick them on your closet door, on your clock, anywhere where you will run into that.
Can you give us an example of an affirmation?
Okay, like maybe I want to, I'm writing about Italy. I want to live in Italy. I see my life in Italy. I'm married to an Italian. I'm just making this up. I'm married to an Italian. I'm eating at all the nice restaurants. So I've written out my story, which is 70% realistic. So the affirmation is, I'm driving down whatever the Italian street is. I'm walking down the street, buying all the best vegetables and fruits at the farmer's market. It's whatever will help.
So it's already happening.
It's already happening. And it's reading about it, just 2 affirmations to help integrate that into reality.
To help you visualize it.
Help you visualize it, yes.
Okay, I love that.
Yes,
I love that
yes.
practice.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so let's talk about change, because change is hard. A lot of times humans don't like change. But if somebody today was inspired by you and wanted to make a change in their life towards the better for wellness and overall balanced life, where would you advise them to start?
The first step is acknowledging that you want to change, and then from that is, what do you need to change?
Yeah.
And being so honest about that.
And I would say starting with your workbook would be a great place to start, honestly, with that essay. Sounds like an amazing place to start to recognize what you want to change.
Yeah. But it's being honest about it. And are you really ready to change? You know what I mean? Some people say they're ready to change, and then when you say, okay, I got this in the way, my kid, my dog, and
But are you ever really ready? I don't know.
Yeah, you're ready. You're ready.
Really?
You might not have taken a step, but when I say you're ready, because if you're not ready, then you're not going to move forward with anything.
But I feel like a lot of people are never ready. Like a lot of people need the push. Or you're saying if you're really ready.
I'm saying if you're really ready, and this is
like you're sick of the current situation.
There you go. You're so sick of it. You're tired of being tired. That kind of thing.
Yes.
That's ready.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah,
I can see that. When you're really ready, I think that's the easiest for me to recognize, when I'm really desperately ready.
Because then you're going to have an open mind and an open heart.
Yeah.
If you're not ready, you're not going to have an open mind and an open heart. You're going to be resistant. You're going to have excuses. So even in my practice, I like people, like my Plant-Based Curious podcast, I want to talk to the plant curious, because they have an open mind.
Yeah.
They may be meat eaters and all the other labels, but they're open because They're ready
want to
to
have the
hear.
conversation.
That's right. That's right.
Awesome.
That's right.
All right. Well, we are running a little bit out of time, so I'll ask you my last few questions. But on your website, we noticed some free assessments and a lot of good material. Could you please tell people more about what you offer, where they can find you, and your last words of wisdom?
Okay. So I have an assessment, basically. Who are you? If you're struggling with trying to figure out who am I,
Yeah, and
you
that
can
could
take
be
that
hard to
assessment.
answer.
You can also take a look at how you're coping with stress. So they're free.
Okay.
They're
Okay.
free. You
Those
get
two.
answers. You take the assessment and you get free answers. And then if you want a session, you can sign up with me for a 60-minute session. That's how that
I
works.
love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, great. So where can people find you easily?
www.dianerandallconsults.com.
Awesome. And we'll link all of that below. We'll check out your book and all that good stuff. And I want to thank you so much for your time. But let's close with your last words of wisdom for our listeners.
My last words of wisdom is you heard so much today.
Yeah.
And all I'm saying is take one small step.
I
One
love
small
that.
step.
I love that.
Small steps lead to huge changes.
It does. It really does. I love that. Well, thank you again so much for your time. It's been such a pleasure talking with you. I hope we connect in the future, but all my best to you, and I can't wait to see all the great work that you do in this world.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for listening. Please rate and review this podcast. Follow and engage with us on social media under the Yegi Project. And if you're interested in being a guest, email info@theyegiproject.com. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes.